On the 13th of October 1990, Africa's very first Pride March was held right here in Johannesburg. And on that day, while still in the grip of the apartheid regime, around 800 people marched through the city to insist on their human rights. So happy Pride Month, everyone. And thank you for joining us. Nna ka lebitso ke Itumeleng Letshwala. I am the communication officer here at Soul City. But of course, I am not alone. We saw it fit to invite some of our friends, some of the young people that we work very closely with, who of course are, part of the LGBTQAI plus community. And today we're just going to take a moment to reflect, right? On the moment that the likes of Simon Nkoli and Dr. Bev were marching for the very first time in Johannesburg in the thick of apartheid to demand equal rights for all, particularly members of the LGBTQAI plus community, who you can imagine were, affected in ways that were quite specific, especially, given what Black people were going through, at the time. But it has been so many years since then. We just wanted to check in with a lot of young people to see how they're feeling, what their experiences are, and what it is that they want. What are their demands? How can we create the South Africa that they deserve, right, as enshrined in our Constitution? Without further ado, I'm going to let everyone introduce themselves, in the spirit of self-determination and autonomy and all of those nice things. I'm going to start with you, Hlumela, because I feel like you've been ready. And then I'm going to ask that, of course, when you are done talking, you switch off your mic so that the other person can speak and, the technical stuff doesn't get ahead of us. Hlumela, you can introduce yourself. Thank you. Okay. Hlumela appears to be having technical difficulties. So we'll go to you, Lerato. Hello.
Hi. So my name is Lerato Pahlani from the University of Johannesburg. I'm doing my final year in journalism. Journalism is my major, also majoring in philosophy.
Awesome. Lovely to have you with us today. Mohau, can you introduce yourself to us, please?
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Itu, for that wonderful introduction. My name is Mohamed Gitla. I am a non-binary person, and my pronouns are they, them. I have done a lot of work in the NGO sector, specifically focusing on LGBTQI rights, as well as meaningful adolescent and youth inclusion, especially when it comes to like sexual and reproductive health and rights generally. Yeah, but that's me.
Oh, sorry. Thank you and welcome. Miponi, hello.
Hi guys, my name is Muiboni Msiza. I am 16 years old. I am in grade 11 at Laban Mutlabi Comprehensive High School, and I identify as lesbian. I've been part of the Rise Young Women's Club for like 2 years now, and it's my last year this year. Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Right. Hello and welcome, everybody. If we could please.
Your mic is off.
Ciao. That time I've been talking. All right. Thanks for that, Miponi. Thank you very much to everyone for introducing themselves, but most importantly for joining us for this discussion. And of course, thank you to everyone else who's joining us from home, from school, from the office, wherever you are. Thank you. We see you. And most importantly, we want to hear from you as well. So make sure that you keep those comments coming if you're watching on Facebook or on YouTube. Send some questions to our panelists or also send through your feedback and comments so that we can engage with you and you can be part of the conversation as well. Right. So maybe you're sitting at home and you actually didn't even know like about this pride thing, right? And you've just been seeing rainbows flying everywhere for quite a while now. And, maybe you just don't get it, right? So I'm going to ask our panelists to just please explain to us, what is pride about? What is happening? Anyone can go.
Okay, I'll just give my viewpoint because I'm also new in the LGBTQ plus community. So according to me, pride is about honoring the queer people without any discrimination and judgment. It's about celebrating the queer people and showing them the appreciation from our allies and other people who support the LGBTQ. Thank you.
Wow. Wow. I heard words like honor. I heard words like appreciation. I heard words like allyship. Like, come on now. I absolutely agree with you. And I think that's such a beautiful way of putting it. Like, simply put, pride is about standing in the fact that we deserve honor, we deserve appreciation, we deserve support and allyship. So at least, if not every day, this one time in the year, let us have it. Let us have our moment and, raise our pride flags high. Larato and Mohau, would you like to add anything to that? What's the buzz? What are the rainbows about?
I mean, I'll go. If you had asked me this question like 5, 6 years ago, I would have been like, "Oh, Pride, we're going to like Jogo Pride, la da da Pride," and previously it was really just about the vibe, just being in a space with other queer people. But I think that just as the previous speaker said, it has really, pride for me has moved into a space of being something that we must honor. Pride for me has become more political in the past few years. I see pride as queer people or the LGBTQIA community standing up and saying that yes, South Africa has these wonderful laws, but let's make sure that they're inclusive to us. South Africa is doing all these wonderful things, but how are we included? So I think that pride is us affirming that we exist in society and taking up space.
Wow, wow. I really, really like that, particularly the affirmation aspect of it, because we do deserve to have our identities and our expressions affirmed, right? And, we do deserve to take up space without having to shrink ourselves and to mold ourselves into what society expects from us. Shumela, thank you for joining us. I hope that things are going, a bit better on your end. We will still give you an opportunity to introduce yourself when you're ready. Okay. While Femela tries to figure it out, Lerato, do you have anything to add? Well, how do you feel about pride?
Well, they have said it all, honestly. But what I can say is, like, I feel like pride just gives us the chance to be proud of who we are. then all the other stuff, allies, the parades, they just come after. It's just about being proud of who you are, getting the support. That's it.
Oh, period. I keep forgetting to unmute myself. So I think I'm actually not going to mute myself from now on. I hope it doesn't create any disturbances. Hlumela, you're back on.
Okay, thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm sorry for the disturbance. Hey, I'm having a network connection problem on my side. Sorry for that. My name is Fumela Dlali. I'm original from Eastern Cape in Mvaba. I am also a member of the LGBTQI community. I go by the pronouns they, she. I am a university. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome, Hlumela. Don't worry. We are definitely very understanding of the situation, and we'll take it, as we go. So I know we've said so many of these nice things about what Pride means, about being celebrated, being affirmed, um, but the reality, right? The reality is that we are not celebrated, right? And there isn't this, support, right? So when you look at the killings of LGBTQAI plus people, the stigma, surrounding our identities and our forms of expressions, it paints a different picture to perhaps what we can say it is that, the likes of Simon Ngoli were imagining when they were protesting on that day in 1990, So a lot of our family members, community members are still left behind in terms of, riding the pride wave, so to speak. I want to hear from you. What are the challenges you would say, the LGBTQ youth in your community, whether it's your friends, family members, your school community? What are the challenges that, the queer youth surrounding you are going through?
Oh, okay. From my side, I'm someone who's from a rural community. So I would say that there's quite still so much stigma about people that are in the community. I would say that people actually don't understand the diversity. They don't understand people that are different, and they don't understand that people who have got different sexualities, have got different genders. I say that's where the problem is. Okokuqala. Secondly, there's still quite so much stigma that they believe people that are in the community are going through a certain stage, and they believe that people that are in the community, they are possessed, they are abnormal. There's quite so much, and that also leads to the exclusion that we get from the community and also from e-services government. Yeah, those are the challenges that we face from e-community in Sukakuyona. Thank you.
Very interesting. Thank you, Hlumela, to also hear how, stigma and what people say and believe also, creates a barrier in terms of a person accessing their rights and their services on a daily basis, right? So when we get offended and not laugh at certain jokes, it's not because we're party poopers and we're boring. It's because we understand how, certain beliefs and misconceptions can actually lead us to our death, essentially. So thank you very much, Hlumela, for enlightening us on that aspect. Anyone else wants to go next? Should I choose?
I'll go.
I wanted
Okay.
to say something. Who's unmuted?
Oh, okay. Lerato was going. Okay, sorry, Mkhau.
No, I just wanted. I saw her unmuted, so I thought she's going to say something. She can go first.
Okay. Mohau, you can go, and then we can also take the opportunity to affirm Mohau's pronouns as they, them, and not she, her. Okay, the floor is
Sorry
yours.
about
Thank you. That's all right. Thank you so much for that. I want to touch on what the previous speaker said about accessing accessing services. And I think it's particularly important because South Africa has such a great constitution. Like, I work in the NGO sector, and we always speak about how, the constitution of South Africa is so great. But when it comes to execution and accessibility of that constitution, that is a struggle. Which is to say that the I in LGBTQIA stands for intersex, right? And recently, I've read some articles published by Iranti, written by some intersex people, and they share their journeys of how it's difficult for them as young people to access healthcare services. It's difficult for them to go to a doctor and say that, what, I feel like my body is a bit different. What's going on? And they just don't get answers. I also think that just similarly, a masculine presenting woman or masculine presenting person who is perceived as a woman, when they try to access things like reproductive healthcare services, that is a challenge in itself, because you're also dealing with the stigma and the misinformation that comes from healthcare practitioners. So as much as Section 27 of the Constitution says that healthcare is a basic right, when you go to the hospital and you try to access that healthcare, that is a challenge in itself. So I think that there's like a very big disconnect in accessing what the Constitution promises us, especially as young people, because Africa also has this thing about how we treat young people, respectability politics, how older people are allowed to talk to you, and how, when I say older people, I'm speaking about like a 16-year-old lesbian trying to go to like a clinic, and the nurses being a bit rude. Even just people outside of the LGBTQI plus community face these challenges, and I do think that they are exasperated because of a lack of information around the queer community.
Absolutely. And I know, Muiponi, you are someone, I mean, from our last engagement with you, you were speaking quite strongly about the experiences of young queer people in public clinics. So I don't know if you want to piggyback off of what Mohau just shared.
Actually, I wanted to say something different. So what can I say? The principal challenges we are facing as queer people is stigma and discrimination. Like, we are
Yeah.
being killed whenever you go around as a masculine presenting person. You'll hear people saying, you want to be a man, or you want to act like a man. Like, why is that? And another thing is when it comes to career choices, some careers don't want queer people in their, what can I say, in their career field. Yes, just like being in the military. Like, whenever you want to apply to be a soldier, you want to train to be a soldier, if you are a queer identifying person, you're not allowed to do that, because wehlisa is standard sabo. And yeah, the clinic matter and public services is a very huge challenge we are facing, especially as teenagers. Like, whenever you go to the clinic, um I feel that whenever they hear you say you are lesbian, um they think it's just into osivala ngayo from pregnancy and whatsoever, and then they force you to take pregnancy test and
Wow.
HIV test without even asking ukuthi uphethwe yini. So yeah, thank you.
Oh, wow. Thank you for sharing, Muiponi. You always enlighten us. You're always ready with the information. So thank you so much once again, for sharing. Lerato.
Well, what I would like to enlighten you guys on is the issue of dress code, especially in churches and schools.
Wow.
So the challenges there, queer youth are facing is that they are usually forced to wear according to what the institution is following, not caring about whether that person is comfortable or not.
Yeah.
Yes, so that's the huge challenge I've noticed.
Thank you. And I mean, you're raising such an important point, right? Because even in schools, the ways in which, the education of queer youth is disrupted is through this forced adherence to a certain, dress code, which is mainly heteronormative. Girl must dress like this, a boy must dress like this. And if you find that you're deviating from the two, there aren't any accommodations that are made for you. And, that's a big barrier to someone's education and then being able to, fulfill it in a safe and affirming environment. And even in church, as you're saying, then your right to religion as a queer person is being, violated by this forced adherence to, a certain dress code. And these are things that we might take lightly because we think no one's going to die because they have to wear a dress or whatever. But being able to be affirmed in the spaces that we take up and in the communities that we are a part of is important, to, the quality of lives of young queer people. So thank you very much to the panelists for sharing such interesting insights. I'm going to just take a break to note all of the people who are joining us today. Mataba Pilani saying, thanks for having this conversation. It's sad that we have to have a conversation about about the humanity of queer people, right? Like, why are our human rights up for debate? Why should we even be here today instead of just doing what other young people are doing? Thank you very much, Mataba, for that. Dumireji says, hi, everyone, sending love right back at you. And thank you for joining. Laurentia saying, happy noontime to all kings and queens from the Patriotic Alliance, LGBTQI+ Alliance. We love you. And thank you for all you do and informative education you share. Thank you, Laurentia, for all of the love and support that you're sharing. And of course, you can continue to, send the love or some questions from our panelists because we want you to be a part of the conversation as well. There is this quote that I want to share with everyone. So it says, I am Black and I am gay. I cannot separate the two parts of me into secondary and primary struggles, right? And then it says, I am in South Africa, I am oppressed as a Black person, and I am oppressed because I am gay. So when I fight for my freedom, I must fight for both oppressions, all intolerance, all injustice, right? So this is a quote from Simon Nkoli, who obviously gave us this moment of pride in the country and on the continent. And I feel like I really, really like how it encapsulates, something that we often go through as, Black queer people, right? Especially with the rhetoric that, queerness is un-African, first of all. So a lot of the times violence against queer people is justified, by saying things like, queerness is un-African, right? But here we are, Black, African, queer, so the fact that we are here means that queerness is in fact very African, right? Because look at us being Black, being African, and being queer, right? But also then he goes on to talk about this idea that now we have to choose to either be Black or queer, right? And if we are choosing to be queer, then we are betraying whatever the Black struggle is. So as to say that in the struggle for Black liberation, there's no space for queerness and there's no space for the human rights of Black people who are queer, and of course as an intersectional organization, the Soul City Institute troubles itself with the matter of the intersecting identities of young people and how they often lead to, multitudes of, human rights violations. And as we are also celebrating Mental Health Awareness Month, we wanted to shine the spotlight as well on the intersection between, queerness and, mental health. I don't know who of you would like to just go first and maybe paint the picture of what this might look like. What does the intersection between, being an LGBTQI plus person and also, what that looks like for your mental health? Okay, Muhau, I'll choose.
Oh, just as I was about to go. um, but I think just generally being part of the LGBTQIA community, you're existing in a society that does not recognize your rights as their rights, and I think that has such a big impact on our mental health. Like small things can have and they're not even small. Let me correct myself. Things that seem small to others have such a big impact on you. I mean, even just we spoke about like how we dress, gender expression, right? And existing in a society that says that no, you are a woman, that time you are actually a non-binary person. But society says that we look at you and we see a woman, so we expect you to wear dresses, and you just don't meet up to that standard that they've set for you, and it becomes very difficult. You go to funerals and you're sad because it's a funeral, but people are focused on the fact that you're wearing pants. And I think that things like that, they dawn on your mental health because you're not allowed to exist as who you are. You're not, society is not accommodating to you. They don't allow, as much as you know yourself and you want to take up space, society does not allow you to take up space. They're not seeing you. So I really feel like things like that really dawn on our mental health. They can have a negative impact on our mental health. And even in just like the things that we mentioned in terms of the challenges that queer youth face. Imagine being sick for a very long time and then you're trying to go, but you're too scared to go to the clinic because it's such a negative experience for you. That in itself, now you are having physical health challenges, but also mental health challenges. So it's a lot of interconnected issues. But I think that the root cause would be you're not allowed to be who you are, and that dawns on you.
Yeah, right. So that taking away of one's autonomy and self-determination can create a ripple effects, of challenges, unnecessarily so. Thank you for that, Mohau. Anyone else want to add on this intersection between queerness and mental health?
So I believe that okay, so yes, I believe that in the environment that we live in, patriarchy is used to justify homophobia. Because whenever I go around wearing my baggy clothes, uzozwa umuntu athi, when are you supposed to wear a dress because umfazi and you have to go home and cook for indoda and whatsoever? Who said I want to be a woman? What if I just want to? Not what if I want to be queer? I am queer and I am proud. So this thing of patriarchy being used to justify also has an impact on our mental health. And the things people say whenever they see a queer people are working in public holding hands, and then bazobuza ukuthi so manje ubani indoda in the relationship, ubani umfazi in the relationship. Like that statement only has a huge impact on our mental health. Like ungayicabanga for weeks and weeks ukuthi vele bangibuze leyo question ukuthi ubani umfazi in the relationship. Like why does that matter to you? Because akusindaba yakho, it's my relationship at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Wow. So, wow. And you're right. A lot of the times, things are said to us like whatever, so and it seems like it's harmless, but the effects, because you might be saying this to someone who has gender dysphoria or something, right? And this is something that can have them reeling for months on end, because now they have to question their identity and how they express and how they want to move in the world and how they want to be perceived and all of that, right? So ultimately, the lesson here is that it is important for us to be afforded dignity by way of people minding their own business, right? Because if you're not just going around saying things, you won't be harming anyone. So I think it's fair to say that we'd appreciate a little bit of that. Hlumela, your mic is on, so I'm wondering if you want to add something.
Oh, okay, yeah, I would just like to add on what the previous speakers have just shared. I believe that now sinabona bantu who struggle with mental health issues, because you have to think, actually prepare your mind actually every day ubana kuzawuthiwa ndiphuma ngaphandle about sexuality yam, about indlela endizipresenta ngayo. So we
Yes.
through a lot singabantu abakwi-community, and we fear that what could follow out of comments abazitshoyo abantu kuthi. So we are really quite suffering.
Yeah, like I don't think people can understand like how difficult it must be navigating the world, already waiting for something bad to happen, right? Because I'm dressed a certain way, because I'm holding hands with my partner, or because I don't look the way I'm supposed to look, or yeah, so just already like navigating your life, ready for something bad to happen to you because someone is not happy with who you are, or you're not meeting people's expectations of who you should be. That has detrimental effects on one's mental health and your ability to live a healthy and fulfilling life. Lerato, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, well, what I can say is the rejection we get constantly from our society can lead us to obviously feeling rejected. And when you feel rejected, you constantly question your place in your community. And then I don't think from there you can live freely and happily, because
Yeah.
like you constantly ask yourself, what am I doing here? Why am I here?
Mm.
What's wrong with me? And that can cause
Mm.
anxiety, depression. Like it takes a toll on your mental health.
Yeah, right. So when we're talking about be gender affirmation, or like any kind of like affirmation of anyone's identity, right? It's because it is linked to your health and like your social fulfillment as a person. It's not because I'm just like, I want you to tell me that I'm pretty, but being able to have your identity affirmed and appreciated goes a long way in how you see yourself, and how you feel about yourself, internally. So of course, having to build that up for yourself in a world that already doesn't like readily offer that to you can be quite strenuous, like thank you very much, Lerato, for adding that. I'm also going to take more of your comments. Lebza says, thank you for always teaching us and informing us about the LGBTQAI plus. Heart emoji, heart emoji. I'm learning a lot since I'm a mother to Miboni Msiza. I'm so proud of her. But to Miboni! This is so lovely. Thank you so much, Mewa Miboni, for joining us and for supporting us and for loving us. This is the South Africa that queer people deserve, right? So this is in line with the title of our webinar, and you are living representation of that, of this affirmation and this support and this allyship that we keep talking about. So Raleboa Lebza, Laurentia says, it's of utmost importance to discuss mental health issues in our LGBTQAI plus community. We need to focus on building safe spaces and counsel for our queer people, and these are what leads to drug abuse and suicides. This really needs attention in our community and beyond, because we don't just exist in our little silos. We're not just walking around by ourselves alone. We live and we take up space and we exist in the world with everyone else. And I definitely believe that there should be safety in the spaces that we take up for us to be ourselves, just like everyone else, right? So I like that Laurentia brings up this idea of safe spaces. And I know that this is during Pride Month, this is like a buzzword commercially. Everyone is selling you a safe space. Come to my event, it's a safe space. Everyone, we're going to Pride, you're going to this. We all just want to be with each other, celebrating and taking up space with each other in a way that we know, will guarantee us safety. So I just want us to talk about that. Everyone can share, what does a safe space look like for you? To everyone maybe who is watching, to our parents who are watching, to businesses who are watching, when they say or they use the word safe space, what is it exactly that we are expecting from them? What does a safe space look like? I don't know who wants to go first. I don't want to choose this time because I don't want to have biases.
Okay, I'll go first. So a safe space is a South Africa that is accepting without any discrimination. We actually deserve an environment where we can walk freely without being judged or killed, definitely. So we need to be treated like any other South African citizen, I mean, sorry, any other South African citizen. And we need an environment where we are allowed to be us, where we are allowed to be queer and proud and colorful as we are. Yes, that's a safe environment for me. Thank you.
Definitely. So if you are wondering how you can be a safe space to the queer people in your life, start by not judging, right? As Mibonu was saying. So a space that doesn't have any form of discrimination, any form, of judgment, a space where you know that if I come here, no one is going to say anything to me that makes me feel uncomfortable, or I will not be killed. Because oftentimes the line between judgment and murder are very thick. We can go from 0 to 100 very quickly because of how passionately people take their homophobic sentiments. Who else wants to add to what a safe space looks like for you? All right, I think Shumela. Oh.
Acting on what my point has already shared, me, a safe space means yeah, people must be included. I'll make an example. I am a graduate from the University of Forte. I left that institution without actually understanding what it means to be in a safe space, I would say. But I would say into noko izinto are really becoming better in our institutions. Umzekelo, we've just seen from the University of Forte that they have launched the first queer indaba. That means that they are including the people that are in the community. So I would say that, yeah, that's a safe space for abantu abakwi institutions, also higher learning institutions, also to be accommodated, to be included. I wish though that the spaces could also be free, also in the primary schools, in the high schools where we are coming from, so that also abantu abakwi community can feel included as well. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely. So I like that. I like what you're saying is like in focusing on higher education, right? Because you'll be on campus and there is an extracurricular for everything under the sun, but there's no kind of like funding or campaigning or anything that is happening to address the lived experiences of queer youth on campus. So shout out to the University of Fort Hare for their first ever queer Indaba. We love to see it. So I wanted us to just take a break from the heavy lifting and the heavy thinking and talk about this acronym of ours, So every time someone will be like the LGBT, like no one seems to actually know what they're actually saying. It's just alphabets, So I want to hear from Lona, and to hear now what is LGBTQIA plus? What are these acronyms? What are these letters? What do they stand for as well? So you can please share there in the comments. Which one do you know? Do you know the L? Do you know the G? Do you know the B or the T or the Q or the I or the A? What is the plus for? Why is there a plus? So let's talk about it. My panelists can also choose which letter maybe they want to educate us on, but let's actually get to know it. I'm going to go with the longer version that we know, which is LGBTQIA plus. So yeah, if you at home want to educate us, Loena, tell us in the comments, which one do you know? What does it stand for? What is your understanding of it? And why is it important? Why is it important for us to even have this acronym, right? Who wants to go first? Oh, okay. Mokgao and Lerato, it's a tie. I'll go with Lerato this time.
Okay. What I will say is the Q, because I recently searched it. There was a bit of a confusion. People believe that queer means lesbian, but then it actually, queer is an umbrella term for a person who is not heterosexual or cisgender.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So we are learning that there is an umbrella term, basically. So when you're hearing us throw this queer, what is this queer, right? So Lerato says the Q in the acronym stands for queer. And what that means is that anyone who is not heterosexual, right? Or who is not cisgender, can fall under the umbrella of being queer, and then they'll have their specific identity that they determine themselves, right? Oh, but then now we are digging another hole, because now there's cisgender and there's heterosexual. So let's park that for a bit, right? So other words to know are cisgender and heterosexual. I mean, I'm sure if heterosexual people know that they're heterosexual, but I've noticed recently that there've been people who are like, oh, they find it discriminatory when you do bring up the fact that you are heterosexual or you are cisgender, right? So there are these actual English terms that are now being co-opted as some kind of oppression and stuff. So that's more tea that we need to spill, but let's focus on the acronym. So we have our Q, which is the umbrella term. So are you saying that instead of saying LGBTQIA plus, I can just say queer? Is that what you're saying?
I guess it can work.
Okay, all right. So if you were wondering at home if you can use the two interchangeably, yes, you can, but obviously there's always room to be corrected, right? Should the person feel like that is not the word that is suitable for them. Cool. Who is next? And what is your tea? Okay, Muhau.
All right. So in the past year, I've really learned a lot about the I. Now, the I stands for intersex. I myself am not an intersex person, but I'm very thankful to the many intersex activists who have contributed to the knowledge that I have. Just to give like a brief explanation, an intersex person, intersex falls under sex. So when we look at male, female, and intersex, and intersex people usually don't fall into either male or female. They usually have a combination of both characteristics, right? So you might have a body on the outside that looks like a female body, and then when you go to the gynecologist and you do some examinations, they're like, "Oh, Chumi Mara, you don't have a uterus. You've got like internal testes, you know." And this is normal. This is so normal. There are so many intersex people that exist amongst us, but we don't have. There's not enough information. Like, you know, I'm just thinking back to when we used to do biology in school, you know, we'd always just look at like male and female, but never intersex. So intersex people exist, and let us educate ourselves about them. But yeah.
Wow. Very interesting because, right, so further debunking this idea that there are only men and women in the world, right, is the existence of intersex people. And as Mohau is saying, is that some people are neither male or female in terms of their reproductive characteristics, right? So there are people who you will look like myself and you have boobs and a vagina, and someone would assume that because of that I am a woman. But if I go to the doctor and there's examinations and whatever, you might find that internally my internal organs match those of someone who is male. So even biologically, gender is fluid, right? Thank you for that, Mohau. I think that was like very enlightening, and also to know that there are a lot of people who are intersex amongst us. We might not know it because they look just like us, but that does not mean that they do not exist and that their their identity should not be affirmed. Right. There is a comment from Pumzile who went with the letter T, saying it's transgender. And her explanation or understanding is that a transgender person is someone whose gender identity does not correspond with the sex that they're seeing, basically, right? So my body looks like it's a body of a woman, right? But that is not the gender that I am, right? Or that I identify as, So thank you for that, Pumzile. For sharing. Are our panelists in agreement with what Pumzile is saying? Should we say that there's a fair understanding of what the T in the acronym stands for? Or do we have something else to add to that? Yes, Miponi.
So before I explain my alphabet, I want to touch on the Q part. So the Q, I from my research, the Q is actually double. There's equal and then there's a questioning. A questioning is a person who doesn't know yet what they identify as. I would say they are still experimenting. Yes. And then there's a clutch between B and UP. UP is falls under the plus. Yes. UP is pansexual and B is bisexual. So UP is a person who is attracted to a personality yomuntu, not sexuality, not gender. So you can be any gender, or you can have any gender or any sexuality. They'll still be attracted to you. They're actually attracted to a personality yomuntu. And then bisexual people are attracted to both sex. Yeah, to both sexes, not gender. Let's say sex. Yeah. Thank you.
All right, interesting. So Miboni is saying that the Q can be often seen as more of a double entendre. So it can be an umbrella term, as Lerato had said, but also there are those of us who just aren't sure yet. And that's like so okay to just not know, instead of assuming that we are all just born straight and you are either straight or not. Sometimes you just don't know, and there is that room. What I like about this acronym is that it then leaves that room to say it's okay to not be sure, it's okay to still be questioning and trying to understand yourself. There are politics about using the word experiment, but that's a conversation for another day entirely. And then Mipone also then obviously said, well, enlightened us on the difference between bisexuality and pansexuality, which is part of the plus. That's why there's the plus. It means and many more. So the spectrum is wide. It doesn't just end at one point, unlike with heteronormativity, where it's either one or the other. The acronym shows us that this is a spectrum. Just like the alphabet itself, there are many letters, meaning there are many words, there are many people. It's a variety, it's a soup. Okay. So thank you for that. Muiponi Khumela, I don't know if there's anything else that you would like to add, but thank you to everyone for enlightening us. Khumela.
Oh, okay. I would like now to stress on the L, which is the lesbians that are attracted to the same sex same sex as theirs, yeah. And also like to stress the fact that there's a lot kwaphana yiyo le nto yenza abantu futhi bafike besibuza who is the man, who is the woman. There are labels also, there are stats, there are butchers, there are stems that people also need to understand. Uyabona indlela uba bazoye kusibuze ezaa questions about who is the man, who is the woman in the relationship. Yes. And people have got preferences ke nalaa nto yoba the stigma that when there's a person dates a butch and is a butch kuba khona nee-comments apho not good comments. So ndiyafuna naleyo into yobana abantu bayazi ubana okay, we've got preferences even though we may have the attraction to the same sex gender.
Yes. Thank you, Shumela, for educating us about the L in the LGBTQ and also stressing the importance of allowing for expression, right? Is that even though I am a woman who likes other women, I might like other women who express themselves in certain ways, and that in general as a person there are different ways of expressing myself. I can be STEM, I can be STAD, I can be androgynous, I can be anything basically, So again, unlike heteronormativity that teaches us that you are either man or woman, you are either feminine or masculine, we are learning today that there are various ways of expressing yourself and identifying, and none are better or more real than others. Thank you very much to my panelists. I'm having so much fun today. I'm learning so much, even as a member of the community myself. What I enjoy about these conversations is that we enlighten each other, because also our experiences are different because of our various intersections. So as we are imagining this South Africa that we deserve, can we just wrap up by maybe stating word for word, in case maybe the government is listening to us or someone, we don't know who makes these rules, but in case someone in the higher ups is listening, what exactly does freedom look like for you? Anyone can go first, but let's just wrap up by being very specific. When we say we want to be free, what are we saying we want? What do we want it to look like? What is this freedom?
What I can say is that we need homosexual rights, and we need those rights to be followed. And another thing is we need homosexual toilets, because rape is real, whether you are female or male.
Okay.
You can get raped like at any time. So we do need homosexual toilets. Yeah, that's about it.
All right, cool. So that's what freedom looks like for me, Bonnie. Anyone else wants to add about what freedom looks like for them? Remember, everyone is speaking for themselves, right? So no one is speaking for the other. Just because the one person has said one thing doesn't mean that that is what you want and what your reality and your understanding of freedom is, right? But because we are able to self-determine who we are also able to speak on what it is that we want as individuals. How, yes, your mic is on. What does freedom look like for you?
You know, when I envision a South Africa where queer people can be free, I imagine us dressing the way that we want, loving who we want, and not having to hear nonsense about how other people feel about it because we're not harming other people, essentially, you know? So I want to be able to walk out there. I want to be able to live out proud and not feel like society is going to say, oh no, you're straying away from our expectations. Come back into your box. That is freedom to me. And the implementation of that is so wide. I don't think that I can go into it like very shortly, but even just having policies that support me going out into the streets, dressing how I want to be dressed, and being safe, that matters to me, and that is freedom to me.
All right. Thank you, Muhau. And like, period, like, beside even like being deep about it, like, all you want is to just do what you want. Like, can you just be left to do what you want? I hear you, I get it, and I share the same sentiment. Lerato, what does freedom look like for you, doll?
Same. I just want to be me. No questions. I'm not hurting anyone. I'm not harming anyone. Why should my decisions be questioned? It's my
Oh,
happiness. I'm not supposed to be happy because it's making you uncomfortable.
Exactly. Exactly. No one is being harmed. Instead, we are being harmed by these, things that are imposed on us, these expectations that are imposed on us. So, no more expectations. Can we just be left to enjoy our rights? Shumela, what does freedom look like for you?
On my side, I also want to walk free without being scared on what people are gonna say about my sexuality or my gender. I also want to see justice being served to those that have their rights being violated. I also want to
Yes.
see myself being included in government service deliveries.
Wow. Thank you so much, Lumela. Also echoing everyone else's sentiments, but also stressing that we want to see some kind of implementation of policy. Unfortunately, our constitution alone right now is not enough. It's not enough that the constitution says I can be myself no matter what, I can access it. But now what happens if I don't, right? What happens if my right is being denied or it's being violated? There needs to be a follow up on that. There needs to be some kind of accountability for hate crimes, for discrimination. And absolutely, I agree with you, and I see that everyone else on the panel is with you on that one. And yeah, thank you so much to my lovely panel, and everyone who is watching from everywhere around the country and beyond. Hopefully, we hope that this conversation landed on open ears and hearts, and that in any space that you occupy, in your communities, in your homes, you will be able to be a safe space to others, regardless of sexuality, regardless of gender, regardless of race, regardless of religion, regardless, all rights, all humans, no injustice for everybody, I think it's important that we just hold ourselves to that kind of standard. So thank you to everyone who watched, and to my panel as well. There's a last comment coming through, Laurentia saying exactly That's why we have created the first LGBTQI plus league, so we can take on these issues for our people. Thank you so much for aiming to help the fight for our people. And that's on period. So before we bounce on out of here, please self-plug. What are you, getting up to that you need support on? Where can we follow you if we want to follow you? Yeah. Shameless plugs. Let's go. Yes,
Can I plug? Can
Mahal.
I go? So it is Muhammad Gita on social media platforms. But something that we're really working towards in the coming week, especially on Friday specifically, is a Live Out Proud campaign where we invite queer people to share their stories. And things like being queer is such a diverse experience. So tell us what does queer fashion look like to you? What does queer politics look like to you? Share these stories on social media, and please hashtag share include the hashtag live out proud, and tag Iranti and Hola Africa, because those are the organizations working on the campaign. But yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. That's like really cool stuff coming along. So do follow Muhao and the work that they are doing. Hashtag live out pride throughout the week, as we close off our month. So show us your fashions, your experiences, your life, your love, all of it. They want to see it, so give it to them. Anyone else wants to plug? Where are you? What are you doing? And where can we follow you? I know, Mwiponi, you are in school, so we can't follow you. We can't go anywhere with you. Yes, Lumela?
I am. Can I go? Okay, I am a flag.
Yes.
I am a flag fellow at the institute. I'm advocating for LGBTQI plus community. You can follow me on Shumela Zali, and I'm targeting especially abantu rural areas. Thank you.
Awesome. So if you want to do work around rural development and queer youth, Shumela is your plug. Shumela is, as they've said, they're one of our fellows for the Feminist Leadership and Activism Center here at Soul City. And yeah, thank you for that, Shumela. We'll definitely, follow the work that you're doing. Lerato, where are you at? How do we find you? What are you getting up to that we can support?
Well, for now, I'm not doing anything because I was busy with my exams, but I'm finished. Since it's my final year, I am done with everything. But I can be followed on Insta, lerato.pahlani. If something comes up, I'll definitely post.
Well, lovely. Thank you, everyone, for joining. And just to close it off, I will be quoting another, urban poet who says, "We speak of these things, and these things are freedom, as though they are just things, but they are not. To be who you want to be fully, that's freedom. Freedom without fear is peace, and love is just love." Thank you, everyone. And I hope you'll take these words with you and just be your best selves and spread the love. Bye.
Okay.